sports, the Olympic Games, return to America on NBC.
What time is it? Game time!
Flight 23 for Seattle is ready for takeoff.
Oil pressure is good. Okay. Hydraulic quantity is good. Flaps are set to 0. Parking brake set.
Flight 40 from Chicago has just landed.
This is NBA Showtime, the 1996 NBA Finals. Here's your host, Bob Costas.
A look at the Space Needle in Seattle. The Sonics trying to launch a comeback here as the scene shifts to the Emerald City for Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Key Arena is the site, and the Sonics will no doubt be buoyed by a high-energy crowd as they look to get back in the series, which, as you know, Chicago leads 2-0. Fans making their way in, still late afternoon. Beautiful sunny day here in the Pacific Northwest. There was only one game this season between the Bulls and the Sonics in this arena back in November, and the Sonics were able to defeat the Bulls in their lone Seattle meeting this year. It's been 17 years since an NBA final game has been played in Seattle. That's when a group led by Gus Williams, Jack Sikma, Dennis Johnson, downtown Freddie Brown, and a young coach named Lenny Wilkins captured the title. Among the current Sonics, Shaun Kemp has emerged as the main man in this series, averaging over 30 a game in the first 2, but he'll need some help tonight. And Gary Payton is the guy the Sonics are looking at to pick things up. Just 13 points in each of the first 2 games for Seattle's leading playoff scorer entering the finals. Michael Jordan still hasn't had that bust-out game everyone knows he's capable of, and Seattle certainly hopes tonight isn't the night that the #1 playoff scorer in history goes wild. Dennis Rodman, always on the wild side, making his way in. He went crazy on the boards in Game 2, 20 in all, and a record-tying 11 on the offensive end as he gave Seattle fits in Chicago. Welcome to Key Arena, everybody. Bob Costas upstairs along with Julius Erving and Peter Bessie. Will have a full pregame show this evening, and then Game 3 of the Bulls and Sonics. Tip-off at 7:45 Eastern Time, 4:45 here in Seattle. It's a daunting task the Sonics face, even as they return home for Games 3, 4, and if necessary, 5. Only 2 teams have come back from an 0-2 deficit to win the NBA Finals. The '69 Celtics, Bill Russell's last championship team, which beat the Lakers of Chamberlain, West, and Baylor. And the '77 Trailblazers, Bill Walton's team, which overtook Julius Erving's 76ers. But more to the point for the Sonics is that they must now win 4 of 5 from a Chicago team which, including the playoffs, is 85-11. And they lost 2 games in a row only once all season. Our game reports start with the trio who will call it: Marv Albert, Matt Kukas, and Bill Walton. Marvelous.
All right, Bob, and Bill loves every possible mention of that 77 Portland come-from-behind victory over Philadelphia. So here are the Sonics down 2-0, but their coach, George Karl, likes to look on the brighter side.
We have grown up so much, and mentally we have gotten to a point where Chicago is challenging us. It's mental more than it's physical, in my opinion. And we can't let them win that. Because that's where they're dominating. That's where their experience is more valuable to us. And I don't think they're that far from us. I'm sorry. I think there's a lot of equality out there. And I might be the dummy of America right now, but I think there's more equality out there than separation.
All right, Bill, do you buy that?
Marv, George Karl, he seems to be searching, almost pleading for confidence, and he'll certainly get that from the fans today. But Seattle's biggest problem has been their offense. their lack of ball movement, their lack of team play. In the regular season, these guys really passed the ball well and rarely turned it over. In this NBA Finals, through 2 games, absolutely nothing there. But the consolation for Seattle is that 10 years ago, this is where Michael Jordan was, where his teammates were standing around watching him play. Unfortunately for Seattle, they don't have 10 years. They have to win today, Marv.
All right, as for the Bulls today, here are the thoughts of their coach, Phil Jackson.
We know this, that it's a do-or-die game for the Sonics. I mean, this is the one that, nails the coffin lid shut if you can get this game. So we know the Sonics can play a desperate game, and we're going to have to measure that and have the poise to counteract it.
And their backs will be to the wall in this pivotal 3rd game of the series. On a serious note, Pat, it's been a similar pattern for the Chicago Bulls over the first 2 games. They have shut down the Sonics defensively in the 4th quarter.
Well, Marv, Chicago is the best defensive team in the league, and they always seem to save their best for last. 4th quarters in the playoffs, downright stingy and getting better each series. And it's talent, experience, and intensity at just the right time. And that's why Chicago is 2 wins away from winning their 4th NBA championship.
All right, for more on the Bulls and the Sonics, let's check in with Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Marv. Well, I spoke with Michael Jordan, and he told me that the Bulls must be able to withstand the very early surge and all the emotion that will be in this arena from the Seattle Sonics. He says he knows it's going to be loud, wild, and crazy here in this arena. He says we must do everything in the first 10 minutes. We must come out focused. In the past 2 games, the first 2 games of this series, we were lethargic in the first quarter. If we're that way in this game, we will not be able to come from behind because of the emotion of this building. He said we must de-energize them. We must find a way to get out off the blocks early, and that the first 10 minutes will be the most important minutes. He said that a desperate team does desperate things, and that a wounded dog can be a very dangerous dog. Now for more on the Sonics, let's go to Hannah Storm.
Well, Jim, Michael Jordan talking about taking the formidable crowd here out of the game, and that's going to be a tough task early on, as Key Arena is one of the loudest arenas in the NBA, and this city has worked itself up into a fan frenzy following the Supersonics run to the NBA Finals, as evidenced by this scene at Boeing Field. Now, keep in mind, this is at 3:50 a.m. on Saturday morning, the team arriving from Chicago down 0-2. There were no less than 1,000 fans to greet them at the airport. And the Sonics will desperately need the help of that 6th man, because their fine 6th man, Nate McMillan, off the bench, will be unable to produce for them today. He will not be able to play in the game today, although he seemingly looks fine here shooting around a couple of hours ago. The disc injury in his back is too painful to allow him to play, and he told me unless something drastic happens, we will not see him for the remainder of the finals, because he will risk permanent damage to that back. That has severely damaged the production of the bench, which has only 11 field goals in this series, 10 of them from Sam Perkins. And to match that, they have 11 turnovers. Disappointing from a team that was able to go 9 deep in the regular season. Marv?
Well, I'll take it in this case, Hannah. Thanks for the report. And bad news for the Sonics, and tough news for Nate McMillan, a classy veteran, missing out on his chance to participate in the NBA Finals. Some of the NBA's best defensive players have been on display in this series. Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman were on the all-defensive team, and Seattle's Gary Payton was the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year. But Payton has not come through in this series on the offensive end, just 13 points a game, and a total of only 9 assists in the 2 Seattle losses. Yesterday, he spoke with Peter Bessie.
Are you personally trying to make Michael Jordan eat his words? You guys have been jawing at each other pretty well for 2 games.
Fine thing. You know, it's just fun between me and him. You know, he's intense, I'm intense. You know, we both competitors. It's nothing against him. You know, I know he's a great basketball player. You know, he is the greatest basketball player that played the game. You know, but you don't back down from him. You know, that what makes him respect you more, when you go at him and he comes back at you. So yeah, it's no big thing. You know, me and him, we just having fun out there.
Gary, wouldn't you prefer, as the best defensive player in the league, to guard Michael Jordan MVP?
It probably would be like that, but it can't be like that. Nate is hurting. I'm playing too many minutes for me to spend most of my time focusing in on him. I I would have to play at least 35 minutes for me to focus my time more on him and try to defend him. But it can't happen right now. It's just something that happened. Nate McMillan is hurt. I have to play 45 to 46 minutes now. And I'm at a position where I'm at the point guard where I got to control my team more. And if Nate was there and I can go to the 2 and do that, then we can probably mix it up like that. But it's not possible right now.
Gary, Phil Jackson's whole game plan coming into this series was to take the ball out of your hands, the same way he did against Penny Hardaway. Now, once he does that, why don't you demand it? Why aren't you going after it? Or why are you even giving it up against the double team? Shouldn't you play with the double team a little bit more?
No, that's selfishness. I mean, if I play against the double teams, these guys are playing too much great defense. I try to play against them, that's turnovers. I mean, me trying to force my situation is not a good thing for us right now. They're spending so much time on trying to deny me from getting the ball that Hawkins, Detlef Shrimp can penetrate it and make things happen. Shaun's having a great series because of this, you know, because they can't double down on him now because one guy is always paying attention to me.
But can the Sonics win with you getting 13 points and 3 assists?
Most people can't. Most people don't think so. But
what do you think?
I think so. I think
really?
so. You say we was in game 2
without Nate.
Without Nate, I don't know. I mean, with us two, our team is used to us two being there. Me doing a lot more than what I'm doing now. But I still think so. I got a lot of confidence in these guys. They showed me that in game 2. I think that in Seattle it'd be different.
Well, Doc, Gary Payton seems to believe that with him playing more or less as he has, the Sonics can win. But you say he better step up.
I think so, Bob. Gary's playing with a lot of poise and confidence, and I think the Bulls have made him go into a false sense of security about that, as if he's doing enough for the Sonics. Gary's dropped off from 21 points a game in the Western Conference Finals to 13. That's a little too much. In the playoffs, particularly the finals, you got to step up. He's not guarding Michael Jordan, so he's got to pay a little bit more attention to Ron Harper, who has stepped up. Ron would score 3 points a game against the Sonics during the regular season. Now he's scoring 13.5. That should be an embarrassment to the Defensive Player of the Year.
Payton has been on the floor virtually every minute of games 1 and 2, but he's young, and this is the finals, so he can rest very soon. In terms of his observation to you, that they can win with him putting up these sorts of numbers, 13 points maybe, they can survive, but not 3 assists, Pete.
No, not at all. The Bulls definitely have shut down Payton. You might say that they've locked him in the glove compartment. What I've got to see out of Payton from now on, if the Sonics hope to get back into this series, is go on the attack defensively and offensively. Don't be so quick to give up the ball when that double team comes after him. Toy a little bit with it. In the history of this game, only Kevin Johnson and Isaiah Thomas have been small men who can dominate the fourth quarter at this level. I believe Gary Payton belongs in that company. We'll see.
But so far, he hasn't had the kind of impact that the Sonics would have hoped for. When we come back, we'll hear from a guy who's had a major impact so far, especially in Game 2, the multi-hued robo-rebounder Dennis Rodman. That's next when NBA Showtime at the Finals returns.
The most rewarding relationships are the ones that grow with time. It's the same for those of you who choose AT&T, because you understand that the true rewards only come from a lasting relationship. Introducing the new AT&T True Rewards program. Rewards you can get right away, every day. It's our way of saying thanks just for being an AT&T customer. The new True Rewards program. It's one of the rewards of a lasting relationship. That's your true choice, AT&T.
You're going to Atlanta. What do you wear? Champion outfit of the U.S. Olympic team.
There's only one garage that's filled to capacity with these top brand tires. The Sears Auto Center. And right now, new Bridgestone road handlers are all on sale at guaranteed unbeatable prices. And remember, the pressure's on us to deliver. Sears new Bridgestone road handlers. No matter what's parked in your garage, chances are you'll find a tire for it in ours.
We've been looking for a house, but nothing feels right. I want one like Mama's. It always smells so good. Of course, I can't quite pull off Mama's recipes yet. Maybe if I had a kitchen I could actually cook in.
For a free guide that can put you on the path to home ownership, call the Fannie Mae Foundation. We're showing America a new way home.
You know training means no day off. What do you wear? Champion, outfit of the U.S. Olympic team.
Now, a Third Rock Olympic tribute. It says here the Olympics are an ancient Greek festival of athletics held every 4 years to celebrate Zeus.
Oh, who's Zeus?
Only the doctor who wrote The Cat in the Hat.
Well, boy, is there green eggs and ham on my face.
The Olympics on NBC, July 19th.
The scenic beauty of Seattle, a ferry making its way across Puget Sound. And a view of Key Arena sitting on Elliott Bay. No relation to Willow. An average of 42 inches of rainfall each year in these parts, but it's been gorgeous this weekend. Welcome back to Key Arena. Let's talk about Scottie Pippen. He was originally drafted by the Seattle Sonics, the 5th overall pick in the '87 draft. Then he was quickly traded to Chicago in exchange for Olden Polynice and a second-round pick. Then just a couple of years ago, a deal that would have brought him to Seattle in exchange for Shaun Kemp was seriously discussed. A short while ago, Scottie spoke with Ahmad Rashad.
Scottie, you ever thought about the fact that you could have spent your entire career playing here for the Sonics?
Well, I do at times. You know, I realize it's the team as I was drafted to. There's also been a lot of talk about me being traded here, but I'm very happy that it didn't happen. You know, I'm glad to be back in the Pounds, and, you know, I think Seattle is a great city. I enjoy visiting here, and that's pretty much about it.
All right. Now, you have Seattle in the same spot that you had Orlando, down 2-0. If you win, they're down 3-0, and you pretty much take their spirit away.
That's what we have to do. We can't allow this team to gain any confidence by getting a win in this series. And if you allow this series to get 2-1, then they feel comfortable at home. They feel like they can win the next couple games. So our focus today is to come out and win the first game here.
Your biggest concern going into this game?
Well, I think we got to limit our turnovers. We can't play as bad as we did in Game 2 with our turnovers in the first half, because this team really feeds off of turnovers. They score off of turnovers, and if we can limit that, then we've allowed ourselves a chance to win here.
All right, thanks, Scottie.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, thanks to Scottie and to Ahmad. Now, on this program, we attempt to cover the broad cultural scene, and so we offer this item. Before the NBA season began, Michael Jordan spent several weeks in Los Angeles filming a movie on the Warner Brothers lot. The movie, titled Space Jam, is due out in November, and Michael isn't the only recognizable character in it.
Oh, look out for that toy step, Doc. It's a real Lulu.
Bugs Bunny.
You were expecting maybe the Easter Bunny?
You're a cartoon. You're not real.
Not real, eh? If I weren't real, could I do this? Oh, look. Is that Mike? Michael! It's Air Jordan.
I did see Michael Jordan. Pardon me, Mr. Jordan. Could I have your your John Hancock, please?
Yes, this flick will be released in November. Now, I guess I could turn to Julius Erving at this point and say, what's up, Doc? But that would be so obvious and really rather corny.
Oh, it's not raining outside, but the Sonics certainly hope that their Rain Man can be thunderous in here tonight.
So you're just tossing off the carrot.
You're not supposed to talk food in your mouth.
You know, I'm going to have to try. The star of Chicago's Game 2 win wasn't Michael Jordan, really. It was Dennis Rodman. He was terrific off the offensive boards, grabbing 11 and pulling in 20 rebounds altogether. Then after the game, Rodman welcomed Jim Gray to his world.
With the offensive putback.
Well, Dennis Rodman made that play happen.
I'm the hardest working guy in the NBA, I think, and hardest working guy on the floor, and people don't give me credit for that.
The look of the hustle by Dennis Rodman a moment ago, and then Dennis saying, so have you read my book?
And people think I'm a sideshow. For some reason, I've been in this business for 10 years and producing and doing the things that help teams win. And it doesn't matter what I say or do off the court. I come to work every day when I'm on the court.
Jerry West told us that you're the smartest player in the NBA. Do you agree with that, are you?
I think I'm witty. I think I'm a little crafty. I don't have to be a scorer to be productive. It's all about knowing your craft and how you can perfect that craft and keep going on the longevity of this business.
Would you say you're instinctive? Would you say that you just work harder to get the ball? Is it a combination of both?
You know, you have to be a specialist. You have to know, you have to visualize what's going to take place the next time the ball hits the rim, next time the ball swings across the court. You got to know what's going on, and you have to visualize that at all times. That's why young guys today that come in this business don't know that.
Tennis obviously not happy with that call.
Game 1 of this series, Michael Jordan came over to you after you got a technical foul and was somewhat annoyed and tried to calm you down in the same sense. How would you describe your relationship with Jordan, and has he been a calming influence to you?
No, I think Michael Jordan is his ambassador to the business here. He has to be the conductor. There's the symphony, and Michael Jordan has to be the conductor. He has to make sure that everyone's on key. You know, if someone's out of line, he's gonna make sure that that person's gonna play the right note. If not, we have to do something about that. I think we have a good relationship. I mean, it's like a husband-wife team. You know, I got my business, he has his business, and when we need to come together, we come together.
Will you be in Chicago next year?
If I am, great. If I'm not, only thing I say is thank Chicago for having me here. You know, people say, well, just that simple. I cannot cry and get all emotional and mad and sad. I can't do that. You know, life is too short. You know, Chicago's been good to me. If the organization don't feel like that, I'm not able to come back and do what I've been doing, that's great. I said, thanks a lot. I've loved Chicago. I appreciate it. But I'd like the people to step up and say, he belongs here. He's earned I trust and I love. He belongs in Chicago. We need Dennis Rodman. If the people don't want to stand behind me, that means I need to move on.
We'll move on here on the pregame show, but we'll have more of Jim Gray's conversation with Dennis Rodman at halftime. And when we come back to Seattle, we'll hear from the Rain Man, the Sonics' Shaun Kemp. We'll talk with Peter Bessick after these commercial messages.
When you wear a pro player jacket, it's not just your jacket people notice. It's your attitude. Pro player. Wear the attitude. All your favorite NBA players. 4 new card designs. 5 collectible insert sets. 2 limited edition cards per pack. Clear NBA basketball. Oh yeah, watch out for hot packs.
The NBA is at your fingertips at NBA.com. You have the computer, you've accessed the internet, now log on to NBA.com for all you want to know about the NBA. Interact live in chat sessions with NBA players. See and hear great plays in the NBA theater. And check out postseason action in the exclusive playoff section. NBA.com. Log on and get connected to the NBA.
You can just pick up a Napa part, feel the quality. When you look at the price, it feels even better.
Pick up your share of quality products at Napa's Red, White, and Blue sale. With Autolite resistor spark plugs only 69 cents after rebate. An Evercraft 25-piece toolkit just $15.99. And STP products free after bonus rebates. So come, save some green at Napa's Red, White, and Blue sale.
America running.
Imagine aliens invaded America in 1947. Imagine everything you know in history is a lie. This fall, you will stop imagining and start believing. Dark Skies. The storm is coming this fall on NBC.
The The leading scorer so far in these NBA Finals has been Shaun Kemp of the Sonics. Better than 30 a game. Unfortunately for Seattle, he simply hasn't gotten enough help. You can hear the reaction in the background. Moments ago, the Sonics came on the floor to thunderous applause. Now the Bulls are coming out to hisses and boos. Back to, and Dennis Rodman leading the way, always the object of much fan affection when on the road. Now back to Shaun Kemp. He has gotten himself into foul trouble throughout these playoffs. He fouled out of Game 1 against the Bulls, in fact. But in many ways, Shaun Kemp's game has matured during this postseason. And yesterday, he spoke with Peter Bessie.
Frustration by Shaun Kemp. Just let that one go. You got to play above the antics of Dennis Rodman.
Shaun, what's the mindset of this team? George Karl told me that coming off that plane or on the plane after Game 2, you guys were very, very quiet.
Oh, a little quiet on the plane, a little disappointed. But, you know, you got to still have hope and believe, and just got to come out and play a little more energy, a little more fire. You know, hopefully make the guys a little mad, a little angry when they sit around and think about it today, and we come out fight.
What's going to make you angry?
I think just thinking about it. I think anytime that you've had success, and especially when you struggled in the past and you come back and you made it to the championship, now it's hitting you. They're doing it good to make it to the championship unless you win it. And hopefully we can start realizing that as a team and come out and play with some fire.
Michael Jordan said that the guys that have not been through this finals experience, his teammates have been passive. Do you notice that with your guys, a change from the previous 3 rounds to this round?
I think so. I think because the defense have picked up the intensity instead of guys being guarded, you know, 10 or 15 feet outside the rim or used to dribbling the ball up court. Now they're being pressured dribbling the ball up court. And when someone's in your face all the time, it makes you want to back down a little bit, not be so aggressive, and it's definitely taking effect on both teams, I think.
Aside from the final score in the first 2 games, what upsets you the most about your team's play?
Not going to be the Bulls team unless you're tuned in for 48 minutes. So I think all of us, not just half of us or some of us, all of us. I think, you know, the first game I had 7 turnovers, even though I scored a lot of points. So it was disappointing to me to throw the ball away a couple times at the end. And then, you know, last night we let Rodman come in and get some offensive rebounds, some tip-ins and stuff. And that's all of us not tuning in for 48 minutes.
He posterized Scottie Pippen. Shaun Kemp hammering it down.
You've been more mature in this series than I've ever seen you throughout your career. What do you attribute that to?
I think just working throughout the season, being patient. You know, I think, I honestly think that you prepare yourself a few months ago, not just the last couple of weeks for this game here. I think it was prepared a couple months ago. I think just being patient and taking my time and accepting what the defense gives me, I think has helped me out a lot.
It's more than that, though. We're talking mental maturity here, Shaun. You're not arguing the calls. You're staying out of early foul trouble. Yeah. Making those free throws.
Which I sat back and I've watched a lot, and I watched Chicago play a lot of teams this playoff. And the one thing that I did see was the first round, they frustrated Alonzo so much where I saw him getting ejected out of the game, and I saw him, you know, really lose control of himself because I knew he wanted to do so well out there. And I think that's what happens a lot, that when you play against Chicago, you know, they're so used to guys just coming out and trying to score offensively on them. Sometimes you get yourself in trouble. So the thing I've done, I think, is really been patient. You know, play defense, get some block shots, rebound the ball, and it keeps me into it, not just at the offensive end, but the defensive end, too.
Why is it always that people react to the Bulls instead of having them react to their team? Why aren't you the same team you were against the Rockets, attacking defensively?
Because of the aggression of the game. I think what happens is that you have a Michael, you have a Scottie, they handle the ball most of the time, so they're aggressive. They're always taking the ball to the rim. No matter what, they're always going and keeping you on your heels. And when that happens, I think teams and players usually have a tendency to you know, lose their confidence a little bit.
Okay, what are we going to see in Game 3 that we didn't see before? More contribution from the bench, more energy? What?
Well, I think we need a little more contribution from the bench. Maybe some guys that step up. Sam's played well for us the last couple of games, but I think we're going to have to come in and maybe use Frank a little bit, help us rebound the ball. You know, Irvin may have to stay out of foul trouble a little bit to help us out along in the fourth quarter a little bit. So, you know, somehow we're going to have to utilize our big men a little bit more, I think, later in the game. I think that's what Chicago does a lot is, you know, they switch up big men. Then later in the game, they put their big men in. They're able to get the tip-ins on the offensive board and to have good position on the defensive end.
You know, as these playoffs approached, it appeared for a while that Shaun Kemp was regressing. He missed the team flight late in the season. Then in the final meaningless regular season game against the Nuggets, he got tossed for fighting and thus suspended for the first game of the playoffs against Sacramento. But as we turn again to Peter Bessie, ever since those incidents, it looks like he's turned a corner.
I'm really proud of Shaun Kemp's development in terms of his game, his personality, and as we just heard his expert analysis of this series, he seems to really be trying to make the concerted effort to do the right thing, as opposed to players like, say, Derek Coleman, who's committed to doing nothing or his thing.
Well, let's turn to the doctor. Your prescription is, Doc, that as good as Kemp has been, he can be better still.
Oh, I think so. Shaun Kemp has done an outstanding job as a scorer, rebounder, and as a shot blocker. But the Sonics need for him to do more. You know, Shaun has to afford Coach George Karl the luxury of taking him out of a game just to get a blow or to try and exploit different matchup situations. It totally discombobulates a coach's game plan if players are forced out of the game because of fouls. And Shaun Kemp and Irvin Johnson have been very guilty of this.
I think I heard most of what you said, Doc, but they're already roaring at Key Arena. So we're closing in on Game 3 of the finals, the game that decides if this becomes a series or if Chicago puts the champagne on ice. We'll hand it over to Marv Albert, Matt Gukas, and Bill Walton for the call as the NBA Finals continue on NBC after these messages from your local station.
Tuesday, it's the NBC Tournament of Neurosis Parade with psychological disorders from Third Rock, News Radio, Frasier, and Wings, featuring passive-aggressive behavior, just plain old aggressive behavior, a feeling of alienation. I'm not human. Okay. And an Oedipus complex. Oh, mommy. You'd be crazy to miss it, NBC Tuesday.
Yachting is my life.
Need a second chance on your fantasy? Enter the Lotto Fantastic Fantasies drawing from the Illinois Lottery. Every time you play a $5 ticket, you get a fantasy entry form. Could be for a car, home improvement, a shopping spree, a fantastic amount of cash, or a boat. Just send in the coupons and sit back and fantasize. Of course, if you're satisfied with your present fantasy, hey, somebody's going to win their fantasy. Might as well be you.
It's the ultimate. Crisp bacon, egg, and 2 cheeses on a fresh made-from-scratch biscuit. The ultimate omelet biscuit at Hardee's, now available every morning on our 99-cent breakfast value menu for your ultimate enjoyment.
Ultimate omelet, just 99 cents. Fresh from the kitchen at Hardee's.
Imagine where you could go in a Mercury Grand Marquis. It doesn't just stand out, it stands alone. With stretch-out room for 6, huge vacation-sized trunk. Rear-drive V8 power, the value is the standout, too. Imagine going 100,000 miles without a tune-up in a car you'd actually want to drive that far. Grand Marquis at your Mercury dealer now.
Imagine yourself in a Mercury now.
News Channel 6, home of the 1996 Olympic Games.
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1996 NBA Finals.
It is a beautiful 65-degree day in the Pacific Northwest as you look at the new Key Arena located in downtown Seattle. This capacity crowd of better than 17,000 is hoping their Sonics can get back into the series after losing the first 2 games on the road. It's the Chicago Bulls and the Seattle Sonics in Game 3 of their best-of-7 NBA Final Series. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert along with Matt Gukas and Bill Walton. And Bill, the major concern of the Sonics, the fact that their all-star point guard, Gary Payton, just has not done it in games 1 and 2. What do you look for tonight from Payton?
Marv, Seattle's making this just way too complicated, and because of it, Gary Payton has been a non-factor offensively. Late in game 2, Gary Payton had a terrific look, wide open with the game on the line, and he barely drew iron. The frustration's so very evident. He's their dominant offensive weapon. He carried them through the Western Conference playoffs, but in the finals, he's been virtually non-existent. Now, the strength of Gary Payton is his competitiveness, and the decision not to put Gary, the Defensive Player of the Year, on Michael Jordan has totally taken Payton out of his game. He needs to ride the fans, Marv, their emotional lift, and have a breakout game against Jordan.
And, Matt, it's clear in the first 2 games of this series, the Sonics' major emphasis has been in the direction of Michael Jordan.
Seattle's strategy has been to double-team Michael Jordan. Easier said than done. He is too quick and too alert. In the post, Jordan knows help is coming. He feels the double team coming from the top, but escapes with a hard spin to the baseline. No weak side help and no chance. Then with that left tramp on Michael, Percy Hawkins comes to double. Then Gary Payton makes it a triple team. And all field fail to keep him out of the middle. The draw dish to Pippen for one of his 8 assists in game 2. Now this production would be outstanding for anybody else, but Michael is not satisfied at all. You get the feeling that Michael is due for a monster game before this series is over.
Well, they are pumped here in Seattle, ready for game 3 when we come back. Figures to be a wild scene for the introduction of the starting lineups.
Oh, Bill, did I tell you what Patty said that Rachel heard about what Mark said about Patty? Well, Bill, are you listening? Anyway, Patty ran into Rachel, who had run into Mark at a party. So, according to Bill, are you listening to me or to the game?
5 ticks left on the clock. Missiles down by 1. Just a reminder, this game brought to you by Miller Lite. When you've got the great taste of an ice-cold Miller Lite, life is good. Smith inbounds to Wakeman through the paint. Tomahawk jam. Yes!
Life's funny. You never know what to expect. But you do with the Toyota Corolla. It comes equipped with a 20-sensor self-diagnostic system to help ensure things are exactly as you'd expect at every turn. Life's full of surprises. Your car shouldn't be one of them. The newly restyled Toyota Corolla. It's where 28 years of innovation have taken us.
Carbon monoxide isn't the only thing to worry about coming from your tailpipe, because with every stroke of your engine, motor oil is being vaporized into exhaust, leaving less and less protection. That's why there's Castrol GTX 10W30. Of every leading 10W30, Castrol provides the most protection against volatility burn-off. So use Castrol, or watch more of your protection go up in smoke. Castrol GTX, the most protection against volatility burn-off.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Miller Lite. With a great taste of an ice-cold Miller Lite, life is good. By Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. And by MasterCard. It's smart money.
We welcome you back to the Key Arena in Seattle. And they are standing and cheering for the Seattle Supersonics, who are 44-5 here at home, including the playoffs, and that also includes a victory over the Chicago Bulls last November. We're set for the introduction of the starting lineups. Let's go to the public address and Jim Gracie.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Key Arena at Seattle Center for Game 3 of the 1996 NBA Finals between the Chicago Bulls and your Seattle Supersonics. And now, ladies and gentlemen, today's starting lineup, first of all, the visiting Chicago Bulls.
ready, as are our Ahmad Rashad and Hannah Storm. We have reports from both. Let's start with Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Mark. First, a change in the Chicago Bulls starting lineup. Tony Kukoc will start for Ron Harper, who will not start because of a sore left knee, but although he will be available. Now, in Game 2, Michael Jordan and Gary Payton finally got together for a little on-court conversation. Now, while it was very animated, Michael told me it was still friendly. He said he was welcoming Gary to his home and reminding him that they had no chance of winning there in his house. Now, Gary reciprocated by saying, well, on Sunday, you got to come to our place, and things will change. Now, Michael told me that he doesn't like having these kind of conversations on the court. He'd rather let his playing do his talking, and he feels like he's struggled the first few games, and now it's time to have one of those statement games. For more on it, Seattle Sider, let's go down and
Well, Michael Jordan is still the Sonics' priority on defense. Shaun Kemp told me today that during their practice yesterday, they worked on defensive adjustments on Dennis Rodman, who killed them with 11 offensive rebounds in Game 2. He said that during crunch time, instead of rotating off Rodman, they're going to treat him like a shooter. They're going to designate a defender to box him out. That defender's either going to be Sam Perkins, Frank Rakowski, or perhaps even the strong and quick Vincent Askew. It will not, however, be Shaun Kemp, creating some potentially strange matchups in certain situations. Kemp said the main thing they emphasize, being aware of Rodman at all times, even though he may not be a scorer, recognizing that he is a formidable force on offense. Marv?
All right, Hannah. And as we saw prior to Game 7 of the Seattle-Utah series, the Sonics have added what can be labeled a new twist in revving up the crowd. Well, boxing ring announcer Michael Buffer making the trip to Seattle, but you know, he might want to consider switching to the decaf latte. The officials, Dick Pavetta, Steve Javy, and Hugh Evans. A reminder that the Sonics and the Bulls are well aware of only two teams in the history of the NBA have been able to come back from an 0-2 deficit. Bill's Portland team did it in 1977 over the Philadelphia 76ers. Boston did it in 1969 against the Los Angeles Lakers.
Seattle's got to have a great start today to give these fans some hope and keep them cheering. Plus, they have to attack and execute on the offensive end, fight through the fatigue.
And the Bulls say they are ready for this emotional onslaught from this crowd. They know the Bulls, that is, cannot ease into this ballgame. Seattle is starting to gain some confidence.
It is Urban Johnson and Luke Longley on the